Just 6 matches remained in the Super League season, and tonight, both Brooklyn FC and Lexington SC look to make a statement as Brooklyn is right outside the cutoff line and Lexington needs a win and some help to keep their slim chances alive. Alongside Haley Sutton, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for being with us tonight on this Saturday. And Haley, the second half has been one to forget for Brooklyn FC. They haven't won since mid-December. That was back in the fall season. They are winless in the spring, and they've also made a coaching change.
It's just been a tale of 2 seasons for Brooklyn FC. The key for them is to come together as a unit. You want to lean on your leadership in these moments, and I gotta be honest, Josh, they have to find a way to find the back of the net today.
And here's what the standings look like heading into today. So Lexington is eliminated with a loss tonight against Brooklyn or a Fort Lauderdale win or draw. And right now, Fort Lauderdale is level 1-1 with Dallas over at the Cotton Bowl. Brooklyn tied with Fort Lauderdale right now. So right now, Fort Lauderdale's in a good spot, but Brooklyn, they need a win or some kind of result to keep pace. And they'll have to do it tonight without their head coach, Jess Silva. She was relieved of her duties earlier this week. It'll be Kevin Tenho, the sporting director, who takes over on the sideline.
Yeah, it's never easy going into a matchup without a head coach. Really a lot of uncertainty for this Brooklyn team. No official head coach on the sideline for them. You mentioned Tenho stepping in there, but certainly going to be a challenge for them going forward to get back to that form that they had at the end of the fall slate.
They've had a little bit of a hard time scoring in the second half, and maybe playing an opponent like Lexington, who has conceded the most goals in USL Super League this year, maybe it's an opponent they can get right with.
Well, interim head coach Sam Stockley has tried his best to find the right connection for Lexington SC. Hasn't quite found the combination, but there are sparks of brilliance. We'll see if Maddie Parsons can get back into form like we saw her last fall.
So here are the second half struggles side by side. Brooklyn, Lexington, just one combined win between the two sides in the spring season. And tonight, Brooklyn desperately needs a win. Lexington needs a win and some help to keep their postseason hopes alive. Kickoff and lineups from Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. Sam Stockley's ready. We're ready. Back after this.
Hearts. No two beat the same. So we built a team of the best heart surgeons, pioneers of the most modern techniques, who always find the one approach that's best for you. But while each surgery is unique, the outcome is the same: the highest success rates. NYU Langone Health.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I said I'd rather be famous instead. You're more than a superstar.
The city. Clouds to start us off out there. Temperatures staying in the high 40s. Tomorrow's forecast will be in the 60s. The beaches staying around 62.
Welcome back to Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. Brooklyn FC and Lexington SC about ready to get underway. Alongside Haley Sutton, I'm Josh Appel. Let's take a look at the starting 11s for both sides. And we start with Brooklyn. First game without Jess Silva on the sideline, and they changed things up a little bit.
Very familiar names on this formation here as you see them rolling out on a 4-3-3, Josh. The biggest difference I see on this field is Grabias moving to that outside wing position. They had her playing up top, more forward. You'll also see Sam Kroger shifting back to the back line. She's been a defensive stronghold in the center. I'm curious to see how that translates further back down the field. And for interim head coach Sam Stockley and Lexington SC,
Cabezas, Watson, Parsons up top.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 Colombian additions that Sam Stockley's squad brought in this spring will be making an impact in this one. We saw Cabezas step in and be a lightning bolt of energy for Lexington in that 3-0 loss a game ago. But either way, they've got to find a way to get some goals scored. We showed earlier they concede a lot, but against Brooklyn, a real opportunity here to get their confidence and goal scoring going.
A referee tonight, Gloria Martinez Resendez. Assistant referees Max Smith and Matthew Schwartz. Armand Bacan is the 4th official. It has been tough sledding for each side in the second half. Brooklyn, though, they are still level with Fort Lauderdale for that final playoff spot, but as of right now, it's 1-1 between Dallas and Fort Lauderdale. So if that result holds, Lexington would be eliminated from postseason contention. Brooklyn, assuming they don't win this game, would then fall behind Fort Lauderdale out of that tie in point totals. But you see, Haley, the Brooklyn FC sideline here. We know that Kevin Tenno is serving as the interim head coach, quote unquote, but a lot of players will be doing the leading as Sam Stockley looks on from the Lexington sideline.
This is going to be such an interesting matchup from a coaching perspective, more so on the Brooklyn side than on the Lexington side. Sam Stockley has had quite a few opportunities to get this team in form, still making some changes as he tries to find some chemistry on the field. But I'm really curious for Brooklyn on the other side of this one with no true head coach standing on the sidelines. I'm curious to see what kind of impact Tenno has on that starting lineup. And most importantly, this is going to be a game where they're going to have to lead on their leaders. Mackenzie George, Jess Garciano, even Luana Gravias are all players who have experience in this Brooklyn lineup, and they certainly are going to have to bring the energy against a Lexington side who really has nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah, they've got to play everything all out, or else their playoff hopes, while slim, still alive. This could go bye-bye with a loss tonight or a Fort Lauderdale win or draw against Dallas. Just one combined win in the second half of the season for these two clubs. To try and right the ship tonight, Brooklyn in the black, Lexington in the white. We're underway from Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. That's up for a goal kick right away for Bridget Skiba. 1 goal the last 4 games for Lexington. For Brooklyn, they were shut out 6-0 combined in their last 2 matches. And this is a team that, if you remember, closed out the fall season with 6 straight unbeaten, opened the second half with a couple of draws. So they went unbeaten 8 consecutive weeks. As Lexington comes forward, cleared away by Brooklyn. Battling on that sideline, Garziano, and she wins the throw-in.
And it's interesting, we're already noticing in that starting lineup, Gravias, as you see her making her run.
Off the face there of Skiba, and she falls on it before it went over that end line.
But to that point, it's Luana Gravias making the run through the middle of the field. We showed her there on the lineup we were given. She's going to play a little bit more on the outside of the field, but as you can see him here, she's stacked back up at the top there. As we take a look at the replay, this is a great strike, a great ball played in there. And Luana Gravias with the trailing run. Interested to see how she floats around the field.
It's Dana Sheriff who had the first shot on target tonight. Maite Lopez with the cross, nobody home in white, and it's grabbed by Niku Purcell. It's been a tumultuous second half. Just 4 total goals scored in the spring. Brooklyn, no wins, 5 losses, 4 draws in the spring season. It's almost hard to believe that the second half has gone the way it has for a club that was one of the best in the Super League back in the fall.
Well, and it's interesting as well, Brooklyn didn't really lose a lot in terms of their spring transition. Isabel Cox was a big part of their roster, and they lost her due to retirement, but really much of this roster is players who got a lot of experience in that fall slate. So I'm curious, just some of the conversations that we've had with the previous head coach in Jess Silva. She had a lot of confidence in this squad. It just seemed like they could never break through.
Grabias goes down. The whistle comes for the foul. Grabias tied for first on the team with 4 goals. It's a 3-way tie. Garziano, Mackenzie George also with 4 apiece. First yellow of the night. Trinity Watson will get booked.
Yeah, and it's for that 2-hand extension you saw there at the end of the play. I thought the tackle was clean, but then on the replay you saw the full extension that sent Grabias to the ground.
So Jess Garziano will put this in play. Into the area, angling towards goal. Cleared away nicely by Lexington, well defended. And that'll be the key for them. We mentioned it in the open, Haley. They've conceded a league high 49 goals.
And it's hard to win games when you're giving up so many. You really don't give your offense a chance. And I think what's tough for Lexington is that they play for the full 90 minutes. I mean, even in that last game against Spokane where they went down 3-0, they battled until the final whistle. Unfortunately, because they're constantly playing catch-up and constantly having to recover on defense, their offensive attack hasn't had a chance to really develop.
It's a credit to Sam Stockley, though, and having these players fight until the end through all the struggles.
And we talked about it before we came up as well. A lot of injuries that Lexington has dealt with too. So Sam Stockley in these games, he's had to sort of toy with the lineup a little bit. He talked to us earlier in the week before that Spokane game and said that he originally, when he rolled out that 4-1-4-1 against Spokane, the idea was to provide a lot of support defensively so that they would not concede all of those goals and then have that formation sort of shift and allow the players to push up the field. Unfortunately, again, when you get far behind, defense has to become the priority.
They are without 8 players tonight due to injury, and the headliners, Sydney Shepard and Hannah Richardson, both remain out. Shepard, a lower extremity injury, Hannah Richardson, a head injury. Again, we'll see if that desperation comes into play and how each team handles that pressure here tonight. And I know, Haley, you kind of alluded to it with Lexington. Yes, they have something to lose in the sense that they could be eliminated tonight, but they've got to go on some kind of crazy run here. They've got to go all out, and they've got to put everything together and have some kind of miracle. So you might as well, as you said, got to go all out and push.
And it's not just about making the playoffs. This is about a confidence boost for these ladies. It is so tough to come out each and every week in the starting lineup and expect to play positively when you're not getting results.
Look, always more fun when you win. Never easy when you lose, especially like this. But I think for both sides, I mean, we saw that shot of the Brooklyn bench right before the match. A lot of smiles over there. Same with Sam Stockley and his side as well. So the spirit seemed to be up for both sides despite the results. Because, look, at the end of the day, as frustrating as it might be, all these players have the opportunity to play this beautiful game.
And I think that's the important part of the Super League, and it's a message that we talk about each and every time we have this broadcast, or at least I try to, is recognizing that these women are playing in their home countries, or most of them are playing in their home countries. You know, some of the Colombian players have come over and transferred, but it gives them an opportunity to stay stateside and have that comfortability of living at home that we haven't really seen over the past few years.
Sheriff tried to cross one in as Garziano was making a run through the middle, and Lexington is away with it in transition. And they lose it. Mackenzie George took it away, and she has space down that right wing. Lays it out for Sheriff. Sheriff for Grabias, headed away by Lexington. Kept alive. Left foot, out in front of goal, and it skips past Grace Philpotts for a goal kick.
Positive signs there for Brooklyn. Grace Philpotts has been such a great addition for Brooklyn in this spring slate. The connection that both her and Mackenzie George have with one another on opposite sides of the field has really been a bright spot for Brooklyn. But you see here, this is just really good individual work from George. She manages to get the shot off. Philpotts times her run just a little too late. I think she was expecting that to be a more direct shot on goal.
Philpotts, the University of Kentucky product. We get a whistle here before this corner. Gloria Martinez Resendez, our referee. She was all the way on the other side of the pitch. I think she just wasn't in position.
Wanted to make sure she could see this corner kick go.
All right, so now we're ready to go with the delivery on the corner. Got a head on it, comes out in front of goal. The follow-up is flicked up in the air. Kept alive. And sitting there on the line, Skiba keeps it out amidst all the chaos.
And that's a great save from Bridget Skiba. There's so much chaos going on in front of her. This is a big ball delivered in for Garziano, and it's just pinging around. You see Skiba, her head is on a swivel. She's constantly making contact with the ball. Even there, she manages to get the punch out, and then here just to smother it. Really good stuff for Skiba. Last game out, didn't have her best performance for most of the match. There was a goal there where she just wasn't aware of her footwork, ended up being in the goal when she made a save. That ended up being a conceded goal. So much improved there from Bridget Skiba.
That's the second match of the week, by the way, for Lexington. Luckily for Brooklyn, as we talk about a get-right game, they haven't lost yet to Lexington. 2-0-1 as Grabius has it along the end line. Tried for a cross, but it's out for a corner instead. Hey, by the way, Select, the official matchball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Another corner right after the last opportunity coming here for Lexington in the first 10 minutes. Garziano. Comes to the edge of the 18, tried to step into it. Still alive for Garziano. Gravius, attempt on goal. It was blocked away, and that fires up the Lexington keeper, Skiba.
Another great save by Skiba. This ball delivered in for Garziano, really special. And I like Grabias having her head on a swivel, just getting that off first time. But again, Skiba coming up big.
Third corner. Garziano puts it in. The header just goes wide. Brooklyn knocking on the door. They've struggled to score in this second half of the season. Sheriff really put them up 1-0 in the first 10 minutes.
I know it's early in this match, but boy, Dana Sheriff has brought a lot of energy, I should say, to this starting lineup. She was subbed into the game against Spokane in the second half about midway through, but at that point the game was so far gone that there wasn't a lot that she could really contribute at that moment. But today she has certainly shown why she was inserted into the starting lineup.
You know, Haley, coaching changes can go one of two ways. They can galvanize a group, bring them together, give them a little bump, or the opposite can happen. And this is Brooklyn's first game without Jess Silva. And we'll talk about it a lot tonight. We've talked about it already a lot in the first 10+ minutes tonight, how great their first half was. Things just kind of fell off a cliff. They weren't really doing much different tactically. They were, well, as you pointed out, a lot of the same personnel, but the results just weren't going their way. And let's see how they respond after their coach was relieved of her duties. Grabius, her cross was deflected and then cleared away by Lexington. I'm not sure how long Lexington can sit back like this and allow all these opportunities to pile up, because you know eventually Brooklyn, despite their struggles, will cash in. The law of averages says so. Long throw in. Sheriff uses the body and the physicality along the end line. And guess what? We've got another corner here for Brooklyn.
Maybe we'll see the other side of the field eventually. This seems to be the sweet spot, I should say, for Brooklyn. Interesting when it comes to Dana Sheriff, who has been so active through the first 12 minutes of this game. She's got 3 goals, all of which have come in the box. So you like to think these corners that keep getting served in. I know Graziano, likes to go to back post.
Short this time. Grabius brings it towards the middle, pops it towards the back post. The header goes wide again. That was Sheriff. Correction, that was Tori Hansen who was in the mixer, nearly putting Brooklyn ahead 1-0. It's very similar to the header that Sheriff put wide a moment ago.
And I love the way Grabias chooses to float that ball into the back post. She recognized that she had runners crashing in at that back post. Typically what we've seen from Grabias is she likes to go for a goal. She likes to take shots. She's got 32, 15 of them have been on goal. But certainly the better decision there to float it off to her teammates.
A lot of action in front of Bridget Skiba tonight. as has been the case all season. Lexington on the move. No advised pass there. They had 4 players moving forward, and they try a more direct route, but unfortunately nobody was home.
And this has been my criticism of Lexington, especially in that last game we saw against Spokane. There's just not a lot of creativity in the attacking third.
Purcell, who has not been busy in the first 13 minutes of the match, aggressive to go and grab that one.
But just going back to that last attack for Lexington, you pointed it out. I was pointing at it as it was happening. You know, the 4 players all running in tandem with one another. There's no way you can get a pass off or set anything up because you've got your teammates to your left and to your right. So a lot of that just comes with time and chemistry, slowing up your runs, circling back to the back post, all things that come with time and development.
And they'll get Maddie Parsons for a foul here. Hard crash to the turf here in Brooklyn for Leah Scarpelli. Recently returned from injury. She was busy last week, 10 clearances, couple of tackles, won 7 of her duels. So there are little bright spots here and there, and if you can kind of put them all together, maybe that formulates into 3 points tonight for Brooklyn, and a much needed momentum boost for them as they now sit below the cut line in USL Super League. Still 1-1 in the 52nd minute between Fort Lauderdale and Dallas. Remember, if that score holds, get to it in a moment, Gravius puts it across towards the back post. Sheriff was making a run, but nobody was home. If there was somebody there, that's an easy tap-in.
I have loved seeing Luana Gravias on the outside of the pitch. I think the problem when she was playing that more centralized attacking forward, attacking mid-roll, she was just having a hard time getting involved in the attack. I think Gravias is best when she has the ball at her feet. She's so creative, and she's great at picking out passes, as we saw just there. Weighted it perfectly, just not enough pressure on that back post crashing the way we saw it similarly on that corner kick just a few minutes ago.
This match a quarter hour old. Hard collision there, and we'll get the foul on Samantha Kroger. So again, remember, if that score holds in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, 1-1 between Dallas and Fort Lauderdale, then Lexington is eliminated. They would need a Fort Lauderdale loss today and a win as well to remain and keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Mackin for Trinity Watson, who's playing with a yellow. Skiba way off her line to play that. See how high Brooklyn is playing now, and they force the deflection and the turnover. Give it right back to Lexington. Pantuso stepped in front of that. Interested in catching Brooklyn FC in action live at Maimonides Park? Just scan the QR code on the screen for a chance to win 4 free tickets to Brooklyn's next home match against DC Power FC on Saturday, April 26th. We'll see you in Coney Island. Good crowd on hand tonight. Home of the Brooklyn Cyclones minor league baseball team. Beautiful view of the water. Coney Island, Ferris wheel, roller coaster.
All the things.
Every of the things. Lexington trying to build out from the back, having some trouble with it.
Really good press from Brooklyn FC. You can see there they are being relentless in trying to win the ball back. Kind of a staple of their game plan from the jump and the fall. They like to hold on to the possession, build from the back, but this high pressure on the back line, they've seen some success.
Maddie Parsons, she hasn't scored since November. 5 goals, 5 assists. Mackin. Her pass was deflected. Rolls all the way over the end line. An unfortunate bounce for Brooklyn. It's out for a corner to Lexington.
You mentioned Maddie Parsons. She is such an incredible story. Dealt with injuries quite a bit during her time at Chico State, and after she graduated, decided she wanted to play professional ball, so she hired an agent while she was playing men's league soccer back at home. She came to the open tryout for Lexington SC, and the coaches decided she had to be on the roster. And you mentioned her scoring those 5 goals. She was electric in the fall. I think she's kind of struggled to find her form that she was in during that fall slate, but certainly can score it if you give her the opportunity.
Lexington has not scored against Brooklyn in 3 matches this year. Could this be the moment off this corner? Squirts out to the edge of the 18. And then the foul as Kroger crashing to the turf. And a yellow issued as well. Not sure if that was the plan on the corner or if it was just a mishit. Regardless, off target.
Took a deflection there from Sam Kroger, and you see her recovery so well. Shea Moyer just gets caught up in trying to get back, doesn't check her shoulder, makes that contact with Kroger coming out of the back. So it's Moyer who gets the yellow, likely for impeding the run of play.
So Moyer has a yellow, Watson has a yellow. Sam Stockley at the bottom of your screen, the interim coach for Lexington. He's involved throughout that organization, men's side and the women's side, and now he's here navigating Lexington through this second half of the season.
One player we haven't really see get involved, at least through this first 20 minutes, is Cynthia Cabezas. I was so impressed with her energy that she brought off the bench in that game against Spokane. From the minute she stepped on, she was applying that high pressure, really good with the ball at her feet, and I don't think she's had a chance as you see her pursuing the ball there.
No foul, play continues. Towards the edge of the 18, has it on her right foot. Cabezas then goes down, and Brooklyn's away with it.
Tough break there for the young player. She must have heard me talking about her, that broadcaster's curse.
I'm not a believer in the broadcaster. You're off the hook, at least with me.
But that's the energy that she can bring to the pitch in a moment where you need some offensive output. You need a burst of speed. She's so good there. Unfortunate that she slips because of the turf, but certainly they need to get her going on that left side.
Another ball over the top that Lexington is trying, and unsuccessful too far, and easily handled by Purcell, who has not been tested yet outside of coming out to grab a ball like that.
Purcell had a tough showing in that Spokane game. Tried her best, but Spokane, boy, they have been in such great form since coming into this spring slate. We had a chance to catch up with Jo Johnson as well before that game with Lexington, and she's just been so impressed with her team's ability to stay locked in. Spokane struggles because they're on the other side of the country, so travel is difficult for them. And they came out in that Lexington game fired up, ready to play.
And look, Spokane just 3 points below the cut line. They've got 2 games in hand on Brooklyn, and they will be even at the end of the weekend with Fort Lauderdale. Spokane, a tough matchup though against the best team in the league right now, Carolina Ascent, to have won 4 in a row. That is matchup of the weekend. 2 teams on an unbeaten streak. Carolina has ascended to the top of the table.
You're not
You're
the first person to use that one.
What? Are you kidding me?
I think I actually used that on Wednesday of last week when I did their game on Tuesday.
It's right there. Can't imagine that I'm not the first person to think of that. Are you joking? All right, here we go. Here's the corner. Towards the back post. They'll get Brooklyn here for a foul going the other way. I think it speaks to the parity, though, of this league, where Tampa Bay Sun, a team like that, is spent the majority of the season hovering right around that 4 or 5 cutoff line, sometimes dropping down to 6th, and now they find themselves squarely in a playoff position in 3rd. Dallas Trinity has had some ups and downs this year. Unfortunately for them, it was announced this week that Lexi Missimo was going to miss the rest of the season. So that's a big blow for them. I wouldn't say comfortably, they're only up 3 points over 5th position. but still in a good position. They really only have to worry about, as of right now at least, that Spokane, Brooklyn, Fort Lauderdale trio. But still many things can change here over the last month plus of the season.
Here's something else has changed. We get a quarter from the other side of the field.
Ah, right field corner this time. They go short. Whipped in, takes a bounce, and it's cleared away by Lexington.
I like the creativity that I've seen from Brooklyn to this point, particularly on those set pieces from the corner. Haven't really found the recipe for success when it comes to finding the back of the net, but they have kept Lexington on their toes, and kudos to Lexington for being able to withstand the storm.
We're in the 24th minute here in the first half. And outside of maybe an instance or two, while Brooklyn is obviously dominated with possession, first 23 and a half minutes, there hasn't been very many golden opportunities for them to score. A couple, but at the same time, over the course of 90 minutes, if you're going to have the ball like they do and like they have in this half, the opportunities and chances will come. And it's a matter of how long Lexington can withstand that pressure.
And that's what makes set pieces so important in the game of soccer. When you are given a free kick and a free opportunity to get on net, you have to be able to take advantage of it. We've seen Brooklyn with the lion's share of those opportunities, just a couple of corners for Lexington to this point.
Well, just to give you an idea of how lopsided this start has been, 9 shots to 0 in favor of Brooklyn. No touches inside the opponent 18 for Lexington, as Cabezas had that taken away from behind. Now Brooklyn can start up the other way, or at least try to. This is a little too tall and out for a throw-in. Libby Moore will take it for Lexington. Yeah, touches in the opposition box, 14 to 0 in favor of Brooklyn. There has not been any kind of threat, not only with possession, but just in that final third for Lexington.
And again, I keep hammering this, but it's the lack of creativity from Lexington. And I know it's challenging trying to build that chemistry when you've got 2 new players in your attacking front here.
Wisniewski comes out in front, and Ursel had to be aggressive off her line to come out and grab that. Maite Lopez was charging in.
And that's what Lexington needs more of. You saw that slip ball through to Maite Lopez. It was a great ball played in by Grace Wisniewski. You need more of that. You're not going to capitalize on every single chance. Just ask Brooklyn. You just laid out the numbers and seen what we've had from Brooklyn FC on the other side of the pitch. But the more you create those little opportunities, those quick bursts of speed, the changes of pace, those slip balls through, then the creativity starts to fall. But for Lexington, they just get so caught playing stagnant and playing in their specific portions of the field that it's hard to develop in the run of play.
Julie Mackin. Gravius had to adjust for it and couldn't find it, so it's out for a throw. Sam Stockley doing his best. Interim head coach.
We had a great chat with Sam Stockley earlier in the week. We spent about 40 minutes talking about everything that comes with being an interim coach in a brand new league, and I applaud his ability to be so open and honest and vulnerable. He said after that game before Spokane, I believe that was against Dallas or Tampa Bay, one of the two, but he said at halftime when they were trailing by 2 goals, they had to have a come to Jesus in the locker room where he laid out exactly and said, if we are going to continue to play at this level, we are not going to be successful. And so you've seen him make some changes in that starting lineup. He's made some changes to the formation as well. Anything you can do at this portion of the field, because we talked about it, there's nothing to lose. So you've got to find ways at your core to continue to develop your players when the wins aren't coming.
Yeah, you're talking about that road match at Tampa Bay Sun FC, a 4-1 loss back on the 12th. This is the 3rd game in 7 days for Lexington, after a couple of weeks off right before that. You know, since their 2-1 win at DC back on March 9th, Lexington has been shut out 3 times, and they've been outscored 14-1. One goal coming against Tampa Bay, but they've given up 4, 3, 4, and then 3 earlier this week against Spokane.
And something we talked about earlier that they're dealing with in this match alone, they have yet to find the back of the net against Brooklyn, even in the fall slate. So even though both of these teams have struggled to score, Lexington just hasn't found the answer to get past Brooklyn.
0-0 draw on March 1st. A 3-0 win for Brooklyn on December 7th. And a 1-0 win for Brooklyn in this building back on September 28th. This is the 4th of 4 meetings this season.
And that's what I'm talking about, Josh. A beautiful ball played in. I mean, that was a field goal, I believe, from Julie Mackin, and yet no one on that Lexington front line even challenging the goalkeeper. It's an easy day for Niku Purcell if that's going to be the offensive attack for Lexington. And you even see here Maite Lopez playing that high role, that number 9 role, but she's got no support. So it's so difficult when you're playing with one player up top. It sort of leaves her stranded, and she doesn't have any support. So when she does get the ball, she has one of 2 choices. She can hold on to it and hope that she's got teammates coming in, or try to make something work on her own.
Brooklyn trying to threaten here, and unfortunately for Brooklyn, that took a last-second deflection off of Mackenzie George, and it's out for a goal kick.
Good burst of speed from Mackenzie George, but this is a heads-up play from one of the most experienced players on Lexington's back line, and Maddie Perez. She has been so influential. We talked about her a lot in the last game, just in terms of her goal-creating opportunities. She's got 5 assists on the season, has started all 19 games for this squad, but really, we kind of overlook her when it comes to that center back role. She is just so consistent back there that we forget that she's a part of that back line.
This pressure giving Lexington fits, and that is about as high a press as you'll find. They were right in front of goal.
Clearly, that was the message at Brooklyn training this week, though, was listen, we are going to press that back line and we're going to force them to make mistakes.
They've almost forced them into a couple so far, but again, Lexington has been able to survive it to this point in the first half hour. Pantuso stepped in front of it and forced the giveaway. Now it's Scarpelli. Philpotts. Trying to find it in the middle. Taken away by Lexington. And then Parsons allows Brooklyn to reset.
Here's what I like about what Brooklyn is doing right now. When they lose the ball, immediately their first reaction is to get on and press and win it back. And they're compressing with 1, 2, sometimes 3 players. And then when they get the ball back on offense, they immediately are spreading out, stretching the field. So you saw there with Grace Philpotts on that last play, tried to play that big ball over the middle, looking much more like that team we saw in the fall slate for Brooklyn.
Fourth official was having some words with Sam Stockley. Not sure why, he was still in his coaching box. No foul, just out for a throw-in. Scarpelli thought she drew enough contact from Maite Lopez. Julie Mackin. There's a lot of standing around from Lexington when they have the ball.
There's just no creativity, and I see them working hard. I don't want this to sound like they're not working,
Not an effort
not
issue.
putting the effort in. It's just a lack of creativity, even on defense. You know, like you always want to carry 2 defenders with you when you're trying to press, especially in that high press situation like we've seen on the other side with Brooklyn. But the slow back pass from Maddie Parsons, defenders holding on to the ball, looking for those passing channels. Those are the kind of things that have to get cleaned up in order for Lexington to be successful.
Cabezas over the top looking for Lopez, and it comes all the way to Purcell. Use the QR code on your screen now to purchase a ticket to Brooklyn FC's next home match against DC Power FC on Saturday, April 26th. All tickets purchased through this code will receive a free replica Brooklyn FC home kit. Grab it while supplies last. And I'll tell you what, the Pinstripes?
Not
These
bad.
home kits for Brooklyn?
Not bad at all.
Agreed.
Ironic as well that they're playing in the Cyclones baseball stadium as well with the pinstripes. It's a common look for baseball teams.
Mets affiliate in Brooklyn. They've got the blue pinstripes. Don't get those confused with the Yankee pinstripes.
Would never. How could we? I prefer the Brooklyn pinstripes, but I'm biased.
Don't tell anybody, but I agree with you. Oh, this mic is on. 33 minutes in the books. Still waiting for the first breakthrough between Brooklyn and Lexington. '71st minute at the Cotton Bowl. Just an update there. Dallas and Fort Lauderdale level at 1. Remember, if that score holds, Lexington is eliminated from postseason contention. Brooklyn still in a tie with Fort Lauderdale. However, if Fort Lauderdale earns a result on the road against Dallas, they will untie Brooklyn.
A lot of moving parts we're navigating here.
I think we can. We'll find out together. Mackenzie George to throw in. As Libby Moore watching her. Was back up top, floated into the area, and nobody home except for Skiba.
Great ball tracking there from Bridget Skiba. She watched that cross come all the way through, and you had a runner at the back post ready to pounce on it, but good on her to get her hands on the ball, slow up the play a little bit as well to give her team a chance to recover.
Cabezas on that far side, slows it up. Into the middle for White. White surveying her options, turns it back. Now it's Moyer. Julie Mackin, space over there. Maite Lopez. Lopez goes towards the end line, low cross. Cleared away by Brooklyn, well defended, but as far as stringing passes together and a build-up for Lexington, that's the best they've looked in the first 35 minutes.
And that's the creativity that I've been harping about. You saw Maddie Parsons make that short checking run in for Maite Lopez to lay it off. When she saw the run wasn't there, she recycled, went back post, and had runners crashing. More of that, Lexington. That's what we need to see.
Brooklyn mired in a winless drought of 9 games. They have not won in the spring. They are 0-5-4. A minus 17 goal differential in the second half, which is bonkers when you think about how their season started. Here's Mackenzie George lining it up, and George almost snuck it by Bridget Skiba. She's up to the task.
The outside of the field has just been giving this Lexington defense a lot of fits. At first we saw it on the outside with Grace Philpotts and Luana Grabias, but Mackenzie George finding her way. Great save.
And look, this for both teams, it's not going to change overnight. It's going to be incremental. You want to build solid performance after solid performance and learn from the things that they're still trying to correct. And even if Lexington does end up eliminated after tonight, still got 5 games left after this, to just have some kind of momentum and some positive feeling going in to the offseason. And Brooklyn still fighting for its playoff lives. Right in the mix. Not as much of a Hail Mary of an attempt to get in as it is for Lexington. Brooklyn, after tonight, has 4 matches remaining. DC, Fort Lauderdale, Spokane, and Carolina. So it's not as if it's an easy slate for them. I mean, yeah. Carolina, Spokane, Fort Lauderdale to finish the season. DC is going to give them a tough one. It is going to be difficult. No doubt about it.
You hear the age-old coaching adage of we take it one game at a time, and that used to really bother me hearing that, you know, both as a player perspective and from a coaching perspective. But it really does matter. You have to take a look at the film, and you have to go back and see, you know, what you've done in that game before and not get too far ahead and focus on the now. All of those cliches that we hear, they really do apply, especially in a league like this where you talked about the parity earlier. There's so many changes going on that you're 1 minute you're chasing Fort Lauderdale for a playoff spot. Now you're looking at Tampa ahead of them and Dallas and the ebbs and flows of the season in general.
Brooklyn now trying to navigate the rest of their season without the coach that began this run, Jess Silva, tale of two halves, so excellent. Maybe a front runner for Coach of the Year after the fall season. Gravias goes down, earns the whistle. As we said, 0-5-4 under Silva in this spring season. And Brooklyn decided it was time to make a change.
And look, it's hard. The coach is the one that's going to get the blame for the poor performance on the field because ultimately it's your decision to put out the roster.
George in front, back heel, Sheriff trying to get to it. Ziano keeps it alive. Didn't get all she wanted on it. It was a good job by Shea Moyer stepping in front of her. 39 minutes in the books. Time winding down in this first half. George settles it down along the touchline. She's watched by Libby Moore. Floats it down, and Skiba comes out to slide on it. Here's that last chance for Brooklyn.
Again, it's Mackenzie George causing all kinds of fits. My goodness, that back flick, though, from Jess Garziano, and then she gets the second chance opportunity here. It's unfortunate that Sheriff was unable to make connection with that sliding chance there, but Garziano has had her footprints on this game on the offensive side for much of this first half. She's been a lot of fun to watch.
Cabezas earns the free kick from just outside the area. I don't think Brooklyn is a big fan of that call, but Cynthia Cabezas turning on the speed a little bit, drawing the whistle. Hope Breslin is the one who committed the foul.
Just a little bit of contact there, knee to knee. Was a foul. Referee was correct in awarding that foul. A little bit of incidental contact, though. Just one of those where you knock knees, make a little contact, and it hurts.
I'm not willing to learn. I'll take your word for it.
Got quite a few of those goose eggs where you just make contact or you knock knees with another player, and it hurts then, and it's going to hurt a lot more tomorrow.
Cabezas is up, so that's good news. Floated towards the back post, and Lexington draws first blood. Maite Lopez heads it home on their first attempt on goal, and Brooklyn is in shock.
This is why I said earlier you have to capitalize on your set pieces. Brooklyn has dominated this match offensively to this point, and yet it is Lexington getting their first goal in so many weeks, and it's the youngster Maite Lopez in the right place at the right time. Doesn't have to put too much power on that floated ball in. She just redirects it past the keeper, Niku Purcell. And what I loved about that goal as well, Josh, is the celebration. We have talked about the morale of this team who has to come out each and every week and try to put a positive performance out there. You saw Cynthia Cabezas ask every single player on the field to come to the corner and celebrate there. It's unfortunate for Brooklyn, but man, did Lexington need that.
Lopez is first in USL Super League. Their first against Brooklyn in 2024-25 season. And just their second goal scored since March 9th. That was massive here at the end of the first half.
Kudos to Sam Stockley for making that change. It is hard to insert a young player into a roster at this portion of the season. Putting your faith in the youngsters. And Cynthia Cabezas as well, too, has been so involved over the last 15 minutes or so. She's the one that earns that set piece for her team. And now you got to see how Brooklyn responds.
Phil Potts floats it over everybody's head. Libby Moore can chase it down and clear for Lexington. It's the Colombian Maite Lopez. The game's opening goal. Comes in the 41st minute. And that is out for another Brooklyn corner. They have had plenty of those tonight. This will be the 7th corner already. Just one for Lexington.
And I just go back to a couple of those early chances from the corner for Brooklyn. If one or two of those even would have fallen in, obviously it would feel a lot different, but I will say it again, this is why you have to capitalize on your set pieces. When the referee is giving you a free opportunity to get in, not in the run of play, you have to take advantage.
So now Brooklyn playing from behind. Samantha Kroger will take the corner. It'll be an in-swinger. It's short. One back by Pantuso. Kroger floats it into the area. Never got all the way where she wanted it to. Pantuso controls again. Leaves to the outside for Garziano. Now George. Mackenzie George. Backheel flip attempt by Grabius, and Lexington is able to handle it and get it out of harm's way.
This feels like one of those games for Brooklyn in this first half where they are doing everything right offensively. The combinations, the big balls in, the runners crashing the box, and yet Lexington has found the answer every single time, and now they go into the break with what looks like at least a 1-0 lead.
Lopez, the goal scorer, trying to put it into the middle for Parsons. Parsons lays it to the outside. Wisniewski trying to get there, but she's cut off. Breslin did a nice job on her, and then Cynthia Cabezas whistled for the foul on Mackenzie George. So 2 minutes of added time in the first half. 1-0 to Lexington on the goal by Maite Lopez in the 41st minute. Her first in USL Super League. 80th minute. Dallas Fort Lauderdale still level at 1. So unless Dallas wins, Lexington will be eliminated regardless of what happens tonight as Lopez takes away.
And you see Lopez there asking for Parsons to check back to her, able to make the connection. We'll keep our eye on her as she's down after some tough contact there.
Lopez in a heap of pain. Holding that right ankle. Shea Moyer, the captain, having a conversation with Gloria Martinez Resendiz. Sam Stockley talking with the 4th official. He wants a yellow. As Lopez now up onto her feet. So let's see one more time what happened.
Looks like one of those sliding chances where the outside of the boot of Scarpelli just makes contact with Maite Lopez's the inside of the foot. And again, just another one of those injuries that unintentional. It's a strong challenge coming in from Scarpelli. But you got to be careful, especially with so many yellow cards already given in the first.
Moyer, dangerous spot. Brooklyn in good position. And then from distance, Wisniewski teed it up. Sent it high. So Brooklyn escapes that threat from Lexington, which have been the better side the last 15 or so minutes of this half.
There's something about finding the back of the net that changes the way you play on the field. The confidence right now brimming from Lexington's side. You saw Maite Lopez there trying to receive the ball, going in a little bit cautious as she kind of still feeling the effects of that last injury.
Sheriff on a bounce. Skiba lunging to her right. Able to make the save, and she's trying to fire up her back line in the process.
I've been so impressed with Bridget Skiba today, not only with her ability to keep goals out of the back of the net, but also her communication with her back line. She's been so much more confident and so sure of herself in this first half.
Maddie Parsons cut off by Tori Hansen. And there is the whistle for halftime. Maite Lopez, the Colombian, in the 41st minute and a half, dominated by Brooklyn off a set piece, has Lexington SC leading after 45 minutes.
Unfortunate that Maite Lopez, as we get a look of her heading off of the pitch, dealing with that foot injury. I'll be curious to see how many minutes she plays in the second half. But listen, the game of soccer can be so cruel. You can be the team that dominates possession, dominates the attack, dominates even on the defensive side, and yet when the other team finds the back of the net, it just takes the air out of you, and that's exactly what Lexington did. And I talked about this off the top. They play hard for a full 90 minutes, and you're seeing that here in that first half.
Lexington clinging to their slim playoff hopes. Brooklyn trying for their first win in the spring season, but it's Lexington with a 1-0 lead at the half in Brooklyn. Back at Maimonides Park in Brooklyn, a surprising score at the half. It's Lexington SC with a 1-0 lead over Brooklyn FC. Alongside Haley Sutton, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks for spending part of your Saturday night with us as we take a look at some news and notes from around USL Super League. How about Academy standout U.S. Youth National Team midfielder and DC Power member Valentina Parada became the youngest player to start a Super League match at just 14 years old.
And we need to be specific here. DC Power actually has a couple of 14-year-olds on their roster. This girl just happens to be a couple of months younger than the other 14-year-old on the roster. But it has been so fun in the midst of a tough season to see these young players get some experience.
We talked during the first half about Carolina Ascent. They've held their last 4 opponents scoreless. They are tied for the record for the most consecutive clean sheets this season with 4. And how about Spokane's Hope Heisey? She currently leads the Golden Glove race after picking up her 7th clean sheet last Saturday.
Yeah, she was real impressive in that last game against Lexington. She was confident. She made a couple of big saves. She wasn't called on often, but when she was able to keep that clean sheet alive.
So from news and notes to scores, Dallas Trinity, Fort Lauderdale United in stoppage time. They're in the 3rd minute of added time. They've got 7 minutes of stoppage time there. They're tied at 1. The reason we're giving you so much detail on that match, because if this score holds, Lexington is eliminated from postseason contention. If Dallas can find the winner, Lexington will stay alive for 1 more week. Carolina Ascent, Spokane Zephyr, that's coming up at 7:30 Eastern tonight on Peacock. Well, the fans here at Maimonides Park, they're hoping to see their side, Brooklyn, equalize and, hey, maybe score a couple here in the second half and earn their first win in the spring season here in 2025. Well, it's been a roller coaster of a season for Brooklyn. Ups, downs, and right now they're down at the half to Lexington SC 1-0. Hey, every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with hosts Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season on the Sirius XM app. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you.
A lot of fantastic individual play across the league, plus one team that has one last shot potentially to stay in playoff contention.
Yeah, you can also figure out why I'm wearing a shirt with my dog on it. And we talked to Spokane Zephyrs leading gal, Allie Cook, 3 goals Spokane on a 4-match unbeaten streak. Do they have what it takes to make it in the first ever USL Super League playoff?
Let's take a look at our first half highlights. The majority dominated by Brooklyn, Haley.
They were giving Lexington fits on the outside of the field. This is Dana Sheriff, the new addition to the starting lineup, with some instant pressure on Bridget Skiba, forcing her to make that save, and then the cleanup there as well. Things got interesting in the 36th. This was probably Brooklyn's best opportunity. Mackenzie George, same place, same strike, same result for Bridget Skiba. She has been a brick wall in net for Lexington. Unfortunately, though, Josh, I said it during the broadcast, you can't give up set-piece goals to a team that is hungry to find the back of the net. It's a great looping ball into the waiting head of Maite Lopez, who gets her first Super League goal. And my favorite part about this goal, Josh, is the team celebration. Look how much this means to Lexington SC. You see her teammate Cynthia Cabezas asking the rest of the team to come celebrate. It's a big one for Lexington.
Well, they're hoping for some help in Dallas, hoping to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Second half action is coming up next here from Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. It's Lexington ahead 1-0 at the half. We are back at Maimonides Park on a beautiful night in Brooklyn. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you. The sun is setting, and the sun has set on the Lexington season. Despite their 1-0 lead here tonight, Fort Lauderdale and Dallas have gone final, a 1-1 draw. And with the draw by Fort Lauderdale, that does eliminate Lexington SC from postseason contention. But Haley, to their credit, what we saw in the first half did not seem like a team that was worried about what was happening in other places and other games. They were focused on the task at hand here tonight.
And it's tough. I think it's hard to find the positives. We talked about that coming into this game, is just keeping that positive outlook. And they'll look back on this game and be proud of what they were able to do. This is not the year for the playoffs for Lexington, but who knows? Down the road, if they continue to play with this same fight and this same vigor, we could be talking about a different team in a year.
So many things can change from one year to the next. And at the very least, you know that Lexington will want to finish this season on a positive note and then search for a full-time head coach. Sam Stockley finishing out the season as the interim. As we are about ready to get underway here in half number 2 in Brooklyn. So Fontenot enters for Brooklyn to begin the second half. Philpotts is out. I believe that is the only change here for the second half. Ginger Fontenot in. Grace Philpotts exits. Lexington on the goal in the 41st minute by Maite Lopez. They'll try and protect it here in this second half. Brooklyn's been shut out 6 times in the spring season, and they're hoping to avoid a 7th. The only clean sheet that Lexington has this season was that 0-0 draw on March 1st against Brooklyn. Again, this is a Lexington side that has given up the most goals in USL Super League. They've conceded 49. The next closest is DC with 31. And this Brooklyn side, again, has been kept off the score sheet for now a game and a half. So we mentioned the substitute, Ginger Fontenot replacing Grace Philpotts. Congratulations to Ginger Fontenot. It is her debut here in USL Super League. The Penn State product from Ventura, California. Started all 44 matches in college. A 2-time All-Ivy League selection. Played more than 2,000 minutes at Penn State, and it comes to her here. Nearly had a chance right at the beginning of the half. Garziano off her left foot. Oh, just curled it high. Excellent attempt.
And that started with the substitute, Fontenot, making her presence felt. Graziano has had her footprints on this game the entire time. You almost wish you saw that one dip in just because of the work that she did in that first half, but she is not afraid to let one rip. Certainly a good strike, just didn't get the dip that she wanted, but shout out to the debut of Ginger Fontenot, creating that chance early.
As we know Penn State as a Big Ten school, so seeing Penn State and Ivy League in the same sentence. Of course, different in the women's soccer game in college. Fontenot hit from behind by Cabezas, who played a physical first half.
And this is going to be a really fun matchup between Fontenot and Cabezas on this right portion of the pitch. Both players, as you've seen, pretty speedy, very good with the ball at their feet. Going to be interesting to see who gets the best of that matchup as this second 45 rolls along.
Garziano goes down, earns the whistle, and it'll be a free kick opportunity this time for Brooklyn from a bit of distance.
We just saw Garziano with that big strike at the top of the box. You see here, she takes a peek over her shoulder, trying to find a way to turn on Shay Moyer. Shay got to be careful. Already picked up a yellow in the first half.
Kroger stands over it as they try and level the score. Kroger for Garziano against Cabezas. Garziano, her attempt blocked. She takes a shove from behind, and then Cabezas has got to be careful. I mean, it's a clear shove to the back.
And we did get a little peek at Kevin Tenho on the touchline there. You see that the left bottom portion of your screen was not happy to see that foul on Jess Garziano. And you can see Jess as she's walking back to the box, just a little bit of a limp, but as we take a second look at it, clearly a full two-hand shove. We see Cabezas go down, trying to sell the call for herself, and kind of a young mentality there when it comes to Cabezas, trying to earn the foul for herself, but it was clear that this is Brooklyn ball.
So another free kick opportunity. Kroger delivers. Back post. Through everybody. Not a bad ball, but it's out for a goal kick anyways.
Another set piece going to the wayside for Brooklyn FC, and I'm going to keep talking about it until things change, but you can't give up so many set piece opportunities and not at least challenge on net. It was good to pick out the couple of players that were crashing the back post, but we saw the difference it can make for Lexington in that first half. You'd like to think that Brooklyn wants to be on the other side of this one with so many set pieces given.
Skiba gets it away. Kroger battling. So again, if you're just joining us, with the draw between Dallas and Fort Lauderdale, that officially eliminates Lexington and DC from postseason contention in the inaugural season of USL Super League. So it is now a 6-club race for the 4 playoff spots, and a card coming for the goal scorer, Maite Lopez. So here's how it stands now. Carolina, first position, top of the table with 40 points. So we take a look at that last foul that drew the yellow. And then Dallas with the point tonight sits in second with 37, so the 3 back of Carolina. Tampa Bay with 36, they're in third. And then Fort Lauderdale now has a 1-point advantage over Brooklyn for the final playoff spot, with Spokane sniffing around from behind, just 3 points back of Fort Lauderdale. Cleared away at the moment by Lexington. Pantuso for Fontenot. Fontenot turns the corner, puts it across. They just couldn't get a good strike on goal. Grabius tried to step into it. It was a good ball across. Fontenot has been very noticeable since coming on here in the second half of her debut.
She has been so good in just a few minutes we've seen, and this is good soccer IQ here, picking out a player, driving in a low-driven pass, knowing that she has numbers in the box. I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication there between the forwards that were making that run. It fell to Grabias, and she just wasn't prepared to take the final shot. But this is what we saw in the first half from Brooklyn, right? All of the offensive opportunities coming in their attacking third. They just haven't found a way to break through in terms of the scoring.
Trying to get it to the outside and then sent away by Julie Mackin. And so a throw in here for Brooklyn as they try and search for the equalizer tonight. 0-5-4 in the second half of the season in the spring. Oh, nice move by Sheriff. Sheriff hesitates, she goes down and just flat out lost it. Unfortunate, because that first move was excellent. It's a goal kick instead.
Great first move, great second move. The unfortunate part when you are an attacking player is knowing when to release the ball. And as we take another look here again, it's just great footwork, a nice little cut inside. She beats her defender. This is the move here where she needs to release the ball, though, just a little bit quicker. It looks like she took some contact as well as she went down. So maybe a reason why she wasn't able to get that service off. But again, positive signs from Brooklyn.
been a good start to the second half for Brooklyn. But very similar to the beginning of the first half, where Brooklyn had the ball a lot, putting a lot of pressure, getting a lot of touches in the opposing area, but still haven't been able to cash in. Sheriff, low cross. Garziano tried to turn with that left foot and couldn't get a shot away. That was well defended by Lexington.
And just took an extra touch there. You would have liked to see Garziano get that on her opposite foot, get it off first time. Unfortunately, you just don't get a lot of time in the box to set up, especially when it's a ball coming from the outside, slotted in that way. The chances are there for Brooklyn. It's up to this front line to capitalize.
Skiba. Ends up back with Trinity Watson, and Skiba gets another chance at it. Play it back one more time.
Trying to reset a little bit here, just kind of ping-ponging back and forth.
I wanted to see Skiba get another chance. From distance, floated high over goal. Was not really close there for Maddie Parsons, who took an ambitious attempt.
It's good recognition from Parsons, though, who recognized that Purcell was just a little far off her line. Not execution at the end of it, but that's what makes Parsons dangerous. We talked about her in the open and just her ability to find the back of the net when she does get those opportunities. Unfortunately, the spring just hasn't been her form. But we saw her score goals like that in the fall slate, so anything is possible.
Long ball looking for Sheriff, and she runs out of room. Maddie Perez had her shielded off. Goal in the 41st minute by Maite Lopez. Off a set piece from just outside the area. And now Lexington, who have just one win in the spring season, who have not beaten Brooklyn. The goal tonight is their first and only goal against Brooklyn FC this year. They are protecting the lead on the road.
And not to bring up, the negative side of this, but it is unfortunate that in a game where they really needed to be playing their best ball, they actually have found a way to do so, and yet it's still too little too late. They've been eliminated from that playoff conversation. Going forward, the message, though, I think for Lexington and Sam Stockley in the interim role is to keep the positivity rolling. It's not fun playing out a season when you know you've got nothing else to play for, but with player development being so important in this league, it is important to keep the confidence high for these ladies should they choose to return to the Super League next year, move back to the NWSL, go back overseas, whatever that outlook looks like. But this has been a positive showing from Lexington, and they can hang their hat knowing that they've played for a full 58 minutes to this point.
Just one more note on this season matchup this year. I mentioned it earlier in this half as Fontenot tracks it down. Fontenot back to her left, low cross, comes all the way across and cleared away. Pantuso stepped up and then is sent downfield one more time in the direction of Parsons, but played by Brooklyn. The only clean sheet that Lexington, which has conceded a league most 49 goals, the only clean sheet they've had this year, a 0-0 draw with Brooklyn FC.
Good little stat.
Thanks. Pantuso. Now Grabius. And three white shirts converge. And they reset with Skiba, who almost had that clearance deflected. Cabezas going long for Lopez. She has the goal. Little in-between spot there for Purcell, but Purcell able to play it well and get it started the other way for Brooklyn. Scarpelli trying to find Mackenzie George, but not enough pace on the ball, and Lexington was able to take it away. Maddie Parsons, 5 goals, 5 assists, but all 5 came prior to November 9th. It's been a while.
Sam Stockley sort of gave us some insight with Maddie Parsons, says that she's a raw player who has the knack for finding the back of the net, but she is a little bit too involved sometimes. She has a tendency to float, and so playing her at that high holding forward position was challenging because she liked to float to the outside and play the balls in. The problem, though, is that there was no one for her to feed the balls to, so he's made a little bit of a position change with her, likes her playing on that outside wing, more of an outside forward type role, and she's found herself a little bit more involved in the attack.
Grabius in a race for it. Grabius wins it. Grabius ties the game. Bridget Skiba protesting, but Grabius has her 5th, and an hour in has brought Brooklyn level.
And this is just pure grit and determination from Luana Grabias. It's an unfortunate lapse in defense. This is a great ball played in by Jess Garziano. And then the hustle from Luana Grabias. It seems silly to say, Josh, but there's a lot of strikers that would whiff on that shot. You would put too much power in it. You don't put your full body through it. But you see there, she maintained possession, maintains her composure until the celebration, and then you see it here. She was excited to find the back of the net. Her 5th goal this season. She's now standing atop the leading scorer position when it comes to Brooklyn FC. They've had their opportunities leading up to this point, and now they have their equalizer.
I wonder what Bridget Skiba was protesting there. Could it have been a potential handball? I thought maybe initially that she was saying there was contact between the two, but when we saw in replay there wasn't. In the meantime, we're level at 1, a little over an hour in. Another good ball over the top looking for Grabius. This time Skiba a little bit easier of a time with it. You know, it's interesting, we had 2 similar plays on each end back to back. This is another foul on Lopez. She's got to be careful because she has a yellow already. She's saying that her jersey was being pulled. But we saw on one end, Nico Purcell able to get to a ball that was kind of in between the attacking player and herself. Same thing happens on the other end. Maybe Skiba a little bit too aggressive, and Grabius able to put it home.
And I think the difference in those attacking opportunities, Maite Lopez was the player on that last attempt for Nico Purcell, and Lopez just kind of slowed up her run a little bit. It was a great ball driven to that back post, but she didn't quite get that acceleration that we saw from Grabias on the other end. It was just a relentless pursuit of the net. The ball fell perfectly for her, and she was able to continue and capitalize.
So a substitution coming here for Lexington. And it will be the goal scorer, Maite Lopez, who exits in favor of Emma Johnson. So Lopez put in her 1st in Super League in the 41st minute. And now she exits. Off the free kick, cleared away by Lexington.
It's a good substitution from Sam Stockley there. Maite Lopez gets her goal. She's been a little aggressive on some of those challenges. He knows she's playing on a yellow card. Best to just take her out and let the rest of the team finish this one out.
George around the corner. George low on the cross. Handled by Lexington and cleared. Stepping up was Kroger. But right back into the mixer, Fontenot couldn't corral it. I've been impressed by Fontenot early here.
You know, I was wondering why it took so long for her to make her season debut. She's a spring addition. She was added earlier this spring on April 1st, actually, of all days to be added. And one of the things that sporting director Kevin Tenyo, who is on the sidelines for this one, said about her is that she brings a composure and strength to the back line. And so it's interesting when you talk about her defense abilities, and yet you're seeing that same strength and composure as she's playing more of that outside wingback type role.
Now it's Cynthia Cabezas. Cabezas on her right foot. Parsons for Wisniewski. Now Moyer. Libby Moore. Ahead for Cabezas. Pantuso on her. And frustration there from Cynthia Cabezas. And you can understand why.
Just ran out of space in front of her for Cynthia Cabezas, for a player that's been so involved, likes the ball at her feet.
And now she's cramping. Holding that left hamstring. So 1-1 here. We're complete through 65 minutes. Brooklyn has found their equalizer here in the second half. How can each team build on what's happened so far in these first 65 minutes?
Well, it's difficult for Lexington. They sort of had all of the momentum coming out of the half, and giving up that goal, certainly not what you want to see, especially when you'd been dominating up to this point. It's kind of been ebbs and flows. But for Brooklyn, I'd say the opposite. I think you have to capitalize on that momentum that you've seen. Brooklyn has had the better chances in this matchup. I think they've looked a little bit more organized as well when it comes to their attack, but they haven't had the opportunity to finish. We just talked about Ginger Fontenot. She has been a great addition on the outside. I'd like to see her get more involved, and I'd like to see the players as well crashing that box, just getting any kind of touch in for Brooklyn to separate themselves.
So Mary-Kate McGuire, the Portsmouth, Rhode Island native, played her collegiate soccer at Duke and Ole Miss, will make her 17th appearance this season. She scored 4 goals. Cabezas will come out. So second substitution, both Colombians, Cabezas and Lopez, have exited. Just one substitution made by Brooklyn. It was Ginger Fontenot. For Brooklyn, the goal scored by Gravius was the first in 3 matches. They hadn't scored since March 29th against Tampa Bay Sun in a 2-2 draw. Last 2 matches, they've been shut out by a combined score of 6-0, 5-0 to Carolina last weekend. And then on April 3rd, a 1-0 loss out in Spokane. George wins that ball. All the way down. Scarpelli lets that go for Purcell, who will pick up. Fontenot. Last touch off of her. Interested in catching Brooklyn FC in action live at Maimonides Park? Scan the QR code on the screen for a chance to win 4 free tickets to Brooklyn's next home match against DC Power on Saturday, April 26th. We'll see you on Coney Island. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you from Brooklyn. If you're just joining us, Lexington, by way of the Fort Lauderdale-Dallas draw, have been eliminated from postseason contention. Brooklyn, who entered the night tied for the last playoff spot, now needs a result here. Great ball laid forward, a lot of contact, and that one is let go as Hope Breslin went crashing to the turf in the penalty area on a great ball forward. Brooklyn with a great build-up, just lacked the finish.
Great ball in from Fontenot. I'm telling you, she is tearing up the right side of this field. And what I've been most impressed about is for a player to come in off the bench as a substitute. First of all, this is a great pass to pick out across the field, but look at the soccer IQ there. She recognizes Breslin is coming in on the run. I think that should have been called for a penalty there. Just a lot of contact. You saw the shoulder of the Lexington defender going into Breslin that forces her to fall down. But Fontenot, just the soccer IQ on full display there. That small little slip pass, doesn't overpass it too much. Without that contact, you'd like to think that Breslin would have been in on net.
McGuire just into the match, leaves it back for Moyer, who moves it. Parsons. Parsons with a shove of her own on Fontenot. Parsons back to her right. Parsons gets a round of applause from her interim coach, Sam Stockley.
She has been dangerous since moving to the outside of the field, and you're seeing why there. I love the pace as she knows she's carrying that defender Fontenot on her right. A little bit of physicality there, but it's the cut and the quick turn to get in on net there. Few more inches, and maybe we're talking about a Lexington game winner there.
George finds some room to the outside. Back for George. George! Shot blocked and cleared away by Lexington. It just feels like Brooklyn is very close to getting the second one. Is this still in play? It is. The cross comes through, and Gravius made a lot of contact with Trinity Watson, who now goes down. The heat has really been turned up a notch.
It's a great build-up from Brooklyn as well, too. I talked about the soccer IQ of Fontenot on the other side, but look at this, a quick burst of speed for George, who lays it off for Gravius. Gravius with a quick pick over her shoulder. Unfortunately, George, you gotta get that shot off sooner. Too many touches in a box crowded with players from either side. You take a touch, you get the shot off, and you hope that Skiba isn't in a place to make a save. Instead, too many touches. It allows for the Lexington defense to collapse.
Brooklyn right back on it. Fontenot. Pantuso lost it. Gets it back. Crowd getting eager. Pantuso does a nice job.
A great turn from Pantuso.
McGuire was coming right on her back. This one slid ahead. Out for a goal kick. Gravius went down. No whistle though.
And it's a great no call from our lead official there. Gravius trying to get a little bit more contact than was on that actual tackle. And there you see that high press again. Skiba will have to be careful.
I mean, that was a heavy touch to herself. 73rd minute. Lopez in the 41st for Lexington. Gravius the equalizer in the 60th. One here by Brooklyn. Marziano trying to get there, but sliding out is Skiba. And again, much like the first half, Haley, I'm not sure how much longer Lexington can sit back like this. I don't even know if they're sitting back by choice. I doubt it, but Brooklyn's keeping their pedal to the metal.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, I got kind of
pedal to the metal there. Listen, I think Skiba has been really effective in this game. She has kept Lexington alive. It's unfortunate that that goal went in on an otherwise spotless day for her. But we talked about it with Lexington, the way a goal just energizes you. A couple of passes string together and some chances created. It really energizes you on the field. We've seen that now with Brooklyn, and it's kind of a continuation of what we saw in the first half, where they had much of the attacking chances. And now another set piece and another chance to double their lead.
Julie Mackin is going to get booked for this. That's the 4th yellow against a player for Lexington. Lopez, she's out of the match. She has one. Shea Moyer playing with the yellow. Trinity Watson, and now Mackin.
Just comes in from behind, lowers her shoulder a bit, and Grabias in the run of play. Unfortunate for defenders, but the attacking player is always going to get that call in that situation.
So a good chance here with the set piece. Lexington scored on one on this end in the first half. Put into the mixer. Oh, Fontenot was all alone. If that had gotten to her, she would have had a golden opportunity. Grabias. Towards goal! I think that deflected off of Skiba and out for a corner.
Listen, I know Luana Grabias is the goal scorer for Brooklyn in this one, but my woman of the match has to go to Jess Garziano. I mean, look at this move here. The rollover with the bottom of the boot, the awareness to get that shot off. I don't think it was challenging net the way she thought it was going to, but it certainly made Skiba make the save. That's
over everybody and out for a Lexington throw-in. Use the QR code on your screen to purchase a ticket to Brooklyn FC's next home match against DC Power FC on Saturday, April 26th. All tickets purchased through this code will receive a free replica Brooklyn FC home kit. Grab it while supplies last.
That's a great giveaway for Brooklyn. Could you imagine going to a match and getting a replica kit?
Especially this one.
Yeah, we talked about the pinstripes.
White had her attempt blocked. Well, it's a great look, that's for sure. Fontenot runs into Maddie Parsons. Brooklyn still have possession. Brooklyn forces the giveaway, but they do get a foul on Pantuso. She doesn't like it all that much.
I was wondering if the ref was going to blow the whistle on that one. It was a heavy touch from Parsons, but heavy because she had so much pressure coming through her back.
Maddie Perez and her 5 assists puts it back in play in the direction of Maddie Parsons. Tracked down along the touchline and reset. A little bit of a slip might have caused that errant pass. Results in a throw-in for Brooklyn.
Moyer caught on her heels in that pass. Wasn't expecting it to come with so much power from her teammate.
Libby Moore tried to feed it through. Good job, good effort. Battling back to get it. '78th minute. Lopez in the 41st, Grabias in the 60th. A turn by Garziano, lays it ahead for Fontenot, but just a bit too much for her.
But again, it's Garziano. So impressed with her ability to direct traffic in today's game. She has been able to pick out the tightest of windows and the best passes out wide. Lately, it's been her connection with Ginger Fontenot on this right side, but we've seen her bring the ball up herself on the left portion of the pitch. We've seen her make combination passes with Grabias on that outside as well.
Can either team break this deadlock? Lexington playing for pride for the rest of the season. Brooklyn fighting for that final playoff spot. Fontenot. Parsons hounding her.
You can hear Sam Stockley giving instructions, saying we're too high to press. He was really frustrated with Maddie Parsons' inability to contain that pass, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier when it comes to Parsons. She just has a bit of a tendency to wander a little bit on the pitch, which can be good in certain situations, but in moments like that when you need her checking back to receive the ball, you lose possession after what is a great buildup up until that point.
Grabius, who has the goal. Grabius on Watson. Wow, they're gonna say that Skiba somehow did not go over the end line. And then Parsons takes a spill, courtesy of Hope Breslin.
And I wish Grabias would have cut this pass back just a little bit sooner. And yeah, from that angle, really challenging to see. You can even see the fans behind them pointing, saying that was out of bounds. I think it would have ended up being a goal kick anyways, given the angle of the shot, but certainly interesting to keep the play going there from Skiba in the goal.
Final 10 minutes. Beautiful sunset in the background. Wisniewski got it past George. Emma Johnson. George, excellent defensive work. Comes away with it and gets the clear. Grabius. Flicked forward, Grabius in a race for it. Grabius ahead for Sheriff. And Watson put it out of bounds for a throw into Brooklyn. Cross right at Skiba.
Skiba going to take every single minute possible here, trying to milk the clock a bit. And I said it earlier, Josh, but I've been really impressed with her in this match.
See Brooklyn preparing the substitution. Skiba puts it in the air. So as you see, Luana Grabius, who scored the goal, will exit in favor of Caroline Kelly, who is also on for her debut. She was signed together with Ginger Fontenot, and tonight they make their debut together. Grabius didn't look all that happy that she was being subbed out.
Are you ever, though? If you're an attacking player with that kind of mindset, you never like coming off of the pitch. But I love the opportunity for Caroline Kelly to potentially impact the game the way we've seen Ginger Fontenot make an impact as well. It's good to see her getting her debut here with a lot of time still left to play, about 8 minutes plus stoppage.
Caroline Kelly played at TCU. First team All Big 12, All Big 12 tournament team. She's hoping to have an impact in these final minutes here at Maimonides Park. Brooklyn has fallen below the cut line. They're in search of their first win in the spring season. They are 0-5-4. They have not won. Since December 14th in the Cotton Bowl, a 1-0 win over Dallas Trinity. That was the 6th in a stretch of 8 in a row unbeaten. Since that March 1st, since that December 14th match in the fall, they have not earned 3 points. Jess Silva dismissed this week. Hannah White. Parsons wanted it, but Fontenot was right with her. White turns back, White puts it across, and thankfully for Brooklyn, Defender was Johnny on the spot, or else there was somebody waiting out in front for Lexington. Nice one touch. Garziano has Sheriff and gives it to her. Sheriff looking to cross it in. Fontanao joining. Sheriff fakes it. Goes to her left. Now back to her right. And out for a corner.
Very smart defending from Libby Moore there, keeping her attacker in front of her, always keeping her eye on the ball. Dana Sheriff gave it everything in terms of the creativity and trying to get a turn off, but ultimately it is the defender standing strong there.
5 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. But a corner kick opportunity for Sam Kroger. She goes short. Garziano puts it into a dangerous spot towards the back post. It actually went off the top of the crossbar.
That's a heads-up play from Garziano. You almost would have liked to see that dip in. It was her second opportunity where we saw her nearly find the back of the net. I think this was intended to be a cross, but as you track it there, could have been a dangerous moment. You saw the players crashing in. But what a performance from Garziano. She won't get the credit in terms of the stats because she didn't get on the score sheet, but like I said earlier, she has been my woman of the match everywhere on this field, directing traffic, finding those passing lanes, and getting a couple chances on goal of her own.
Well, look, if this Brooklyn team is going to find themselves in a playoff spot, it's going to be in large part because of Jess Garziano and how she sets the tone for this club. Fontanao, though, she's proven to be a good piece in her debut. Obviously a small sample size, but very impressive so far.
Got about 40 minutes or so.
That's enough. I'm ready to say it.
I know, I'm sold, man. She's been really impressive as well. And I kind of talked about it earlier. It is really challenging, not only coming in as a substitute, but a substitute in your debut performance. It's hard to set yourself up for success, and offensively, defensively. You see her here making the tackle and putting some contact on Parsons, and now we see her making that run up wide with Garziano ball at her feet.
Sheriff, but it's Garziano. A lot of pace, but a good save by Bridget Skiba.
And you can tell she wants to find the back of the net in this matchup. Finds a window, it's low and driven. Not quite enough power. In fact, I wish she would have taken a few more dribbles. I think she had a little bit more space in front of her.
Time winding down. The good news for Brooklyn is even if they don't earn their first win of the second half, they will pull back into a tie with Fort Lauderdale for that final playoff spot. That's where we sit right now. But Fort Lauderdale does have the tie-breaking advantage. They've played 2 fewer matches than Brooklyn to this point. One other game going on right now. Carolina, in the first 20 minutes, have already taken a 1-0 lead over Spokane. Comes out in front for White. Purcell had some trouble with it, but they're able to escape danger for now. Johnson, the cross. Pantuso clears. You don't want to make a late mistake. If you're Brooklyn, they conceded in the 41st minute near the end of the first half. But if they concede here, that will be a heartbreaking point to drop. But maybe a chance developing as Sheriff cuts to her left. Sheriff, Garziano. Garziano turns back to her right. Dangerous spot. Who got last touch? And it's a goal kick.
That was great build up here, and this is a great ball played in by Hope Breslin. She identifies Dana Sheriff making that run even before she sends the cross in. But it's a great bit of defense as well by Julie Mackin to also follow the run, stay tight to her defender. Dana Sheriff, another player who's been so impressive, especially after being inserted into the starting lineup.
Well, we will see how much added time we get. Lexington trying to pull off a shocker on the night they were eliminated from postseason contention. Cover got away with a lot of contact there on McGuire. The play rolls on. Breslin moves it forward. Garziano. Everything running through her. Just a little bit too far out of the reach for Caroline Kelly. Decent ball for her. And we will get 4 minutes of stoppage time here in Brooklyn.
4 minutes, a lot of time to find a game winner here for either side. We've seen the momentum be in favor of Brooklyn for much of this second half, but Lexington has had their moments.
And they'll get a free kick here as Kelly was fouled. Let's see if they elect to go short and get it started, or if they fire one into the mixer and hope for a good bounce. As Lexington prepares a sub. So they do put it into the dangerous area. Takes a bounce, put towards goal, big save, Skiba. She's been good tonight.
I was just thinking about how solid she has been, and this is a great opportunity for Brooklyn. I believe that's Caroline Kelly getting the final touch on it. Didn't have a ton of power on it, but still, you have to keep in mind that Bridget Skiba has so much going on in front of her. She's watching her team stay marked. She's watching the players come into the box. And, of course, keeping her eye on the ball. She's been great today.
2.5 XG tonight, expected goals for Brooklyn. They have 1. They've put 10 shots on target, 16 shot attempts from inside the box. And how about this disparity? Touches in the opposition box. 41 for Brooklyn, 6 for Lexington.
And one of those 6 for Lexington ended in a goal.
Absolutely. Efficient, so at least. Breslin. Breslin from distance. Shot number 22 is into the arms of Skiba.
Feels like this is going to be a trend for Brooklyn. I think recognizing that they've got 2 minutes or so left in this match to find their first win in the spring season. Trying to challenge Bridget Skiba, catch her off her line there.
About a minute and a half left. Grabias has the goal for Brooklyn here in the second half to level things. Well done by Shea Moyer. And that ball's won by Emma Johnson. Johnson lays it forward for Parsons. Fontenot is on her. McGuire trying to get there, but she can't. And now here comes the substitution for Lexington. Maddie Parsons will exit. Macy Barlow will come in. Maybe time for one last rush upfield. Scarpelli brings it back. Scarpelli takes a deflection. They want a handball. They won't get it. Breslin tried to step up. And now McGuire in a sprint. McGuire 1 against 4. Pantuso slides ahead. Look at the hustle. It's kept in. Breslin with the effort. Not a great ball towards goal.
She had the vision, though. I saw what she was trying to do. I think that was Sam Kroger maybe hanging out on the back line there for Brooklyn.
And there is the whistle for full time. So not a win tonight for Brooklyn. They remain winless in the spring, but they do draw a result when they were behind. And they pull back within a tie with Fort Lauderdale for that final playoff spot. Sam Stockley's side earns their second result against Brooklyn this season. It's a 1-1 final here for Brooklyn.
A lot of positives for both sides. I think for Lexington, unfortunate that one of their better games of the spring their season ends when they have that performance, but a lot to be proud of. They stayed in this match for 90 minutes, and if you're Brooklyn, it's tough. You still haven't been able to find the score sheet, but sticking with this match, the patience, the opportunities on net, and then finding that equalizer in the second half. All things to build off of as they try to stay in postseason contention.
So we'll step aside and come back to wrap things up for you here from Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. 1-1 the final, a point to each side. Brooklyn back in a tie with Fort Lauderdale for the final playoff spot in USL Super League. Welcome back to Maimonides Park in Brooklyn. 1-1 is our final. Brooklyn and Lexington each earn a point. Lexington, as a result of Fort Lauderdale's draw, they are eliminated from the postseason, but Brooklyn back in a tie. As we take a look at our match highlights, a goal in each half. Lexington got on the board first.
Capitalizing on a set piece. I said it over and over again. Those free passes and Maite Lopez in the right place at the right time, redirecting that ball past Niku Purcell. And I talked about it earlier, the celebration, it really invigorated Lexington. And they had some good opportunities in the second, but Brooklyn picked up right where they left off. Jess Garziano with the perfect pass laid in for Grabias. Grabias with the persistence, it pays off. And it looked like there, Skiba wanted a handball, but doesn't get it. Instead, it's Grabias finding the equalizer. It's a great finish on an empty net. She had a couple more opportunities, and so did her team. Once again, Garziano in. Good move, good strike, forces Skiba to get the touch on it, to get the corner. But she was certainly effective, had an opportunity to double the lead for Brooklyn multiple times, including right here, a low-driven pass. Would have liked to see her pick a corner a little bit stronger there. You saw the clap, the celebration. She knew she could have done better, and here she is again, playing in a nice ball for her team. But Bridget Skiba comes up strong for Lexington to keep this one a 1-1 game.
Yeah, they fired 22 shots on goal to just 5 for Lexington, had almost 2 more expected goals. So here are the up to the minute, up to the second USL Super League standings. Fort Lauderdale, Brooklyn, knotted up with 34 points apiece, but Fort Lauderdale has the tiebreaker. They've played 2 fewer games than Brooklyn have. Lexington, DC eliminated by way of that Fort Lauderdale tie. Well, that'll do it for us here from Brooklyn. A positive night for each side. Positives to draw as the season winds down and the playoff race tightens up in the inaugural season of USL Super League. For Haley Sutton and our entire crew, this is Josh Appel saying so long. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you next time.